Hello everybody, my name is Aaron Boujon. I'm here to talk to you today about the three main working parts of a camera. These parts are basically set up to where if you don't have one, you can't effectively shoot or get a good image out of your camera itself. So let's go ahead and get started with the three main parts that I think, in my opinion, are what make a great image. The very first part that you will see here is the lens. This is the lens that we use for cameras. The second part is the body, and then the third part is the actual battery itself. That's your power source. Now that we've talked about these three parts, let's go ahead and start off with the very first part, which is your lens. This is how you can control the amount of light that comes into your camera. Basically, it has it's what we call, or what we consider, the eye or the iris of your camera. It basically is like when you walk into a dark room, your iris kind of opens up or closes. Well, you can do the same thing within your lens. You can open it up or close it depending on how much light you need to have available to you. Now, there are two types of lenses. Actually, there's more than that, but the two that I'm going to discuss is a fixed lens, which could be like a 35mm fixed lens where you have to move in and out to zoom with your feet, or you can actually have a zoom lens, which, like I have on that lens that I just showed you, which is a 20 to 70mm, and you zoom in by hand. Now that we've talked about the lenses, let's go over the shutter speed. That was the second part that I'd mentioned. Now, the shutter speed controls the time of how much light comes in. Basically and essentially, what it does is it's like a curtain that comes in like this and then opens up. So it does it at a really fast rate. Now, why would you use that, if you ask? I mean, think about it. You're using it's kind of like an eyelid. It's considered like an eyelid of your camera. It's like when you blink your eye and open it. It's just opening and closing to let a certain amount of light into your iris. Well, it's the same thing on your camera. It's got that same shutter speed. Now, there's two reasons why you use shutter speeds in certain ways. You want either motion, you want to capture that motion, or you want to freeze that motion. You want to freeze it, or you want to show like certain things in the camera, like panning it or whatever. Well, you want to use a faster shutter speed to capture fast moving objects like, motorcycles, cars, people running. You want to use like a 1/500th of a second to 1/1000th of a second. Now, if you want to use slow moving things like me running, which would be like a 1/60th of a second, or if you want to use somebody who's walking, or you want to capture nature, you're going to use essentially a 1/60th of a second or a 1/25th of a second. Now that we've gone over those and what shutter speed's really all about, which is capturing time or letting the amount of time go into the camera with your light, let's talk about the last main part, which is your battery source. Without it, you can't have power. It won't talk to the brain. Your camera won't function nowadays without that power source. So you got to make sure that you got a fully charged battery when you go out in the field. Alright, so now that we've talked about these three things, which I think are very important tools and very effective things for your camera, which one was the lens, which gives you amounts of light. The second one was the shutter speed, which gave you the time for light, to control that time of light. And then third but last was your power source, which is your battery, which is a very important component to your camera. I hope this will give you a better understanding of what the camera functions are and what the working properties are. And I hope you enjoyed this speech. Thank you and have a nice day.